And we're back. Ep.6. Bam. We're getting this one's actually filmed the day before it drops. We're getting a little close to the deadlines there. We were good at the beginning and then fell off. My schedule got hectic and stopped coordinating to film, but we're back. We're here. Haven't missed a day yet or a week yet.
Not an upload date yet.
Nope.
Maybe a record date.
But we're here. What's good? What's been going on?
Nothing. Just spent most of the last week editing a YouTube video. That was fun. I'm excited to get first eyes on it and get your opinion and helping with a little bit of extra editing I need to get done on it and be done with it. I thought it came out nice. I thought it came out really nice.
I'm excited to check it out after we finish filming. Speaking on stuff that you edited that I finally watched, I think it was in the last episode, we talked about the inspirational video, the last or 2 episodes ago.
I think it was last.
The inspirational edit you did. I watched it, and then I threw some captions on it, but I watched it. It is by far my favorite edit you've done. That shit, that is perfect. That I almost teared up watching because it was just stitched together with everything.
It was cool. I like how I ended it. With it kind of fades out, and then it's got the words with the spaces in between the different words. Because be creative, be inspired.
Yeah, it's definitely the most. I could tell just in watching. Obviously, it's just kind of piecing stuff together, but I could tell you was one of the more things you were inspired while doing because the effort that was put into it and everything from the music being in it, the timing of everything. It was fire. It actually. So watching it back, I know you were I don't care if you post it or not. I definitely want to post it. I obviously the social media, so I'll post the normal horizontal. I made a vertical version of it just so I could post that. I'm probably gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna wait. Initially I was probably gonna wait because it has the behind the scenes footage from the kid video, which hasn't dropped yet. But I might see what's good. I might just end up dropping it even before that drops. So I don't want to hold it too long because I really want to use it to kind of relaunch my personal channel. On top of obviously all the things I already don't have time for. But I really want to, and it's a funny joke because I was just at my friend James's house and he was saying, I mentioned doing the WaveChange YouTube channel and how I'm kind of not swapping it, but adding more than just the behind the scenes now. We kind of talk about that. And he laughed because he was the amount of times I've heard you say you're gonna relaunch your personal YouTube channel. But I really want to, and that's kind of I had a brain dump. It's sort of the stuff. So I'll take over my portion of the video where it's just me ranting. But yeah, so I really want to relaunch that channel. It's just obviously the time of everything, and I'm trying to be realistic with not just jumping into relaunching doing that channel and then not having time for it and balancing it because already it is kind of all over the place. Obviously, just I'll start with my brain dump. It was sort of all the stuff that WaveChange and I do, but now it's getting delegated out. Obviously just the client stuff, which is the music videos, now the commercials for the brands, and the content work, the actual stuff that WaveChange produces for the clients, which is our quote unquote job. That's what generates money. And then outside of that, it's the stuff in my head, the different channels and I don't know exactly channels because they're all their own YouTube channels, but how I would in my head, but the WaveChange YouTube channel. If we count my personal YouTube channel now, we got Can't Talk I'm Creating podcast and this podcast. And they kind of all serve their own purpose in my head, but it's sort of building it out to where they kind of can run. Obviously I can't do them all because I still overviewing the client work because at the end of the day, the client work, the music videos are sort of what moves everything. Without that, nothing else sort of
they
exists.
take precedence.
Yeah, obviously, and those are reliant on other that's serving other people where everything else is kind of for us. So it's we can't. I don't want to put someone else's stuff when they're paying for that. But in my head, the way the structure is in the WaveChange network, which all those things sort of are embodied in it. It's our YouTube channel is sort of the quote unquote reality show of WaveChange. It's the behind the scenes gets posted. Now we're doing the director commentaries. And the thing I want to add in to that I'm starting to I'm just fully doing, I'm not delegating it out, is I really want to start giving out free information. Sort of like the one video I have right now, I got a couple scripted that I have to like work on before I start posting them because I wanted to at least weekly post be regular. Is just free information. The one I have now is basically a 10-minute video explaining to artists like how they should post. From my eyes, like how you should post on Instagram, how you
Oh,
should, because that's like the number one thing when I'm filming these content packs and like even music videos with artists is them complaining about like not knowing how to post or complaining about like it's the number one thing, not knowing how to post and just having to post, like having to make content and be a content creator. They don't want to do it. They don't know what to do. They don't know it's too much work to balance while working. And I always kind of like I almost have this speech now. I give to everybody, and I've almost done it enough where it's like at this point I'm gonna put it in a video and just post it because like I could just send it to people.
yeah, true.
And that kind of grew on like, in my brain. Besides just doing that one thing, the idea that giving giving free value, the more free value WaveChange can give to people, the more it'll bring in people willing to pay for our work. Versus just kind of promoting like the music videos we do and trying to convince people to buy the music videos or work with us. If we just giving endless amounts of free value, it incentivizes people even more to come to like work with us, and it just has people connect with us. To somebody who doesn't want to pay for a music video, they can still build a relationship with WaveChange and care about WaveChange now outside of just like unless they buy a music video or work with us on content.
True.
So that's like I said, doing the videos where it'll be like how to post, and it'll work the same with kind of what I do with the podcast is now where it's like I'll have like the big YouTube video, the 10-minute YouTube video with all broken down,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could just pull multiple different clips for Instagram and like really try to bring that value. Because on top of just trying to give the free value, it's solving the one problem I've been seeing with we do the content packs. It's 4 vertical videos. The idea behind it was to make it easier for artists. Like I don't know what to post. I don't want to think about posting. So we made the content packs. You get 4 full 3 however long the song is. You get the full run through, a clean shot,
They just have to post it. They'll have
and
the
they just
content.
But the problem, quote unquote, I'm running into now is technically those 4 videos. In my recommendation, you wouldn't just post one of the 4 videos because it's a full 3-minute video. It's the full
You gotta cut it
song.
up.
You'd cut it up. You'd throw cap like you. There's like little things that like in my brain, it's like you'd know to do this if you have this clip. I'm learning now. It's like I know to do that because I'm so ingrained in it. A lot of people aren't. They aren't into
Yeah,
content
yeah.
creation. They're just artists. They get the clip and they just post it. And then my feeling is some people they'll book a content pack, they'll spend the money, they'll get the content, they'll post it, and not in like a negative way, but they post it wrong for lack of a better term. They just post the full 3-minute clip or like whatever. They don't do the certain little things I would do, and then they don't see the content get any engagement compared to like what they were already doing, and that in their brain they're not rushing to do more content with us because they're like, oh, that didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah,
It
it's like a
didn't.
bad investment to them.
Yeah, and like it's not necessarily because it was wrong, because it was just tweaked wrong. So obviously, one of the easy fixes is that we're going to slowly implement and eventually is giving them like done for you content. So like you'll get the 4 full, but also a folder of like one of the clips cut up into multiple 15-second things. But this way, I'm thinking like with the video the first video I have already filmed and I just got to finish editing it, like how to post. It's basically like for like it's like you book a content pack, then watch this video. You get the content, and now if you take the content and then follow this video, you'll get infinitely more. Because if I can get people to post the content how I think it will make it perform better, and they like if they post something they shoot with us and they post something that we did and they listen to me on how to do it and they saw engagement, they're way more likely to want to book more versus
Yeah, that
posting
makes
it
sense.
not using it wrong. And it's like almost hurting us in a sense of like you got the content, but if you do it right, you'll get more engagement and you'll want to do more content with us.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was like the initial idea. Then it was just sort of like bring the free value. So like coming up with as much like sort of anytime I talk to artists and we just kind of like talk back and forth, if I can turn those sort of conversations into videos.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, like that's the idea of like the WaveChange YouTube. It's the behind the scenes, the director commentary, and just like the educational, like, bringing free value. And that helps just go ahead.
Real quickly, for I don't know if you can do it with with a lot of them, but for the director
Commentary,
breakdowns,
yeah.
I like if it helps like your workflow, the load on like trying to find the time to get them all down. What I have an idea for a video series that I think I want to do. I may or may not do it, but the way that I broke the work structure down, I think you can use it for this. you need to like pick your videos that you want to do. If you can get like 3 or 4 or 5 of them, like kind of preset, and then record all of it in one, because like the idea that I was going to do is like an anime reaction kind of thing. But I was going to do the first episode of a show that I've not watched before and do like live reaction to it. And it's 20 minutes roughly. So what I was going to do is I was going to get a bunch of different episodes and then just record back to back to back.
Record, yeah.
Yeah. And then you can go and edit it when you have the time, as opposed to like sit down trying to fit like a half an hour in between different days.
Yeah, and that also helps with like setup time and everything. I mean, it's funny because batch filming is one of the tips in that first YouTube video for artists, as far as like not necessarily if they're getting content with us, but like if you're just filming content, like batch filming. Like if you're, one of the complaints is like not having time. That's the like I that's part of like the speech I give to artists all the time. It's like if you don't have time, like you might be thinking I gotta film content every day. If you allot 4 hours on your off day from work and just 4 outfits, you can batch film them, then you just edit them separately. It's like, yeah, like that's
it's like one day
definitely
a month for like a couple hours. And
yeah,
then
that's definitely the way to do. I mean, we kind of did that with the first 2 that you're editing, with the Ovi Josie and the kid one. Because technically we were only planning on recording the kid one.
And then
when we finished, I was like, let me also do this one. Like that's definitely the way to go.
You got that out of the way. You didn't have to think about it anymore. I can go and edit it over the next couple of days or whatever, and then it's done.
Yeah, even like I know like some podcasters, it doesn't work more so with like these kind of podcasts where it's like this.
They do a couple episodes at once.
Interview based stuff. You book 4 guests in one day, you just knock them all out. Now you have 4 weeks. It's definitely the way, based on the content, because it can easily become, not easily, but like I've seen like I know I've seen 2 Bears One Cave, that podcast. I've watched some videos of like people critiquing them, and like they'll complain about like them batch filming too much, where it's like they're talking about something that was relevant a month ago because they filmed them all, but like so obviously topic based or like this kind of stuff doesn't work. We could film batch film 4 podcast episodes.
Yeah.
But this is more so kind of like what's going on in the week, so it doesn't work as good. But like that kind of stuff, director commentary, that like batch filming is definitely the way to go about it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit of good insight.
Yeah, I'll definitely with the director commentary, I'll definitely gonna do that because like, and I could film those technically on my own and then just send you that footage the same way. Because just schedule out a day.
Because to me, like the way that my brain works with most things is like how to be the most efficient, the fastest, and then work from there.
Yeah, and it's also like the like when your brain is in that mode, it's like not getting into that mode of like talking about the directing view of it and then snapping out of it to edit it, and then another day it's like you're in that mode, just keeping it going, and then doing all the editing in one mode. Like that's going, because I sort of do the same thing where I try to think of like how to be the most productive, even just like I'm kind of forced to with everything going on. And it is like I've found that like I listen to a lot of different YouTubers talk about like different lifestyles that are productive, whether it's like setting a schedule and all this stuff. And the one thing I've noticed personally that works best for me is not like, because some people are always like time blocks. So you spend 4 hours of your day doing this type of task and 4 hours of your day doing this type of task. And like, I don't work well like that. I was even talking to Law about it, where it's like for 4 hours you are like doing just like editing tasks, and 4 hours you're like 4 hours work on this video, then 4 hours on this video. And I find that like I work better in like this day is just this. So this is like a filming day. So I just film director commentary, don't think about editing. And then this day is just editing and sort of like batch it. Like the
you
batch
keep your mindset
and larger, and like a day-to-day basis versus like time base. But yeah, so like going back to the sort of structure, it's like, yeah, like that's the WaveChange YouTube, which as of right now, besides like the informational videos, which I don't think I would pass them on to like you or somebody else probably until I get into them, because the same way I did with the behind the scenes and director commentary, I was doing them and sort of figured out how I wanted them to look and then pass it off. These informational videos are still new to me, so I wouldn't pass it off at least yet in my brain until I kind of understand how I want them to look or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yes, like I mean, the WaveChange YouTube as of right now, technically, like you're the main editor. You edit the behind the scenes. You edit the director commentary. My YouTube channel, which is like the last priority, but it's the second one I wrote down. In my brain, it's because like my brain works in like sections. Like, oh, the WaveChange YouTube is just that. Like I'm not gonna post something random on that. My channel, it's more of just like artistic vlogs of my life. So obviously it would like kind of weave in with the behind the scenes, but it's more just obviously centered around me, where the behind the scenes, it's the full team. It's like the cast of WaveChange. The vlogs are more so me, they're a lot less like I like the behind the scenes being like almost like that, not brain rot, but like it's constant. It's like the high energy.
Snapping.
Something's
Boom,
always
boom, boom,
going on.
boom.
We're showing everything. I'm picturing my vlogs being a lot more just like raw, probably longer, less editing, and more just they're more so for me. The reason I always like lean back to wanting to do my channel is because that like the one thing I love the most is that I've done YouTube since I was 12, and I can go back and literally look at my life from 12 until about like I started lacking on them around like 20 into my 20s. I started like getting like less sporadic, but like from like 12 to 20, like that 8 years, I can see what I was doing on like a weekly, if not like multiple times a week. I can see what I was doing, and I think that's so cool. And like my channel in my brain would be the least optimized for like viewership. Like it's gonna be like there'd be downtime in them when it's like random stuff that like nobody's gonna care about this. Where the
It's just
behind the
for you, really.
scenes, I cut out a lot of behind the scenes stuff because I'm like a viewer wouldn't care about this. Only I care about this, or only the team, and that the viewer needs to care about it. Where my channel is really just so I have a log. So when I'm 50, I could show my kids the same way I love being able to like watch my old videos or show law or show somebody or like my life. It's like I'm missing the like this like in between period right now building WaveChange. Like yeah, you could see it in the behind the scenes, but not the same way I used to. That's why I want to really get into my channel and like really bring it back. And yeah, like I said, it would be a lot like it's just kind of about my life and then the outside of like what it takes building this company. Like sort of kind of what this is, where this podcast was like I want to just like the brain dump. It's sort of my life brain dump and kind of just capturing the journey. And I actually just like initially I was gonna ask you if you wanted to start editing those, but I'd rather keep you on the behind the scenes, the director commentary, because it already is a lot, and obviously you have your stuff. And
Got time?
yeah, I was gonna say you have time, but I'd rather you keep the focus. I'd rather you put more time into the behind the scenes, the director commentary, and your stuff than just add another thing on and kind of keep them all like the same way with me. Having everything, I could do everything, but it waters it down, and it less efficient. Like I like having you do the behind the scenes, and you've already kind of building a rut with it, and the director commentaries now, and I keep you there. So I was, I actually just earlier today hit James up. I was thinking, I was like, out of my friends, same way with you. I was like, yo, you want to like, I don't need you to have any skills, but when I was at James's house, he was talking to me about like his job's good, it pays good, but he just feels like it's just like a job to be a job. It doesn't like challenge him, and it's not like building for something. So I was like, all right. I mean, before I go to you, James, like you literally said you have like when I was talking to him, he literally made the comment of like, I just have free time. And I was like, all right, well, if you have free time and you're complaining about not being challenged, like, are you interested in taking this on? Like, I'll give you a software, I'll give you a rundown. There's zero expectations. Just literally chop this up,
Bro, there's gonna be 4 of us fighting over Da Vinci.
bro. Yeah, after it, like I'm gonna give him, I'm gonna show him if he's interested in it. I'll probably end up just paying for another Da Vinci because it is just 300. It's one time 300, and it'll give us 3 more logins. Or maybe we should cut this. I don't need Da Vinci coming at me though. I mean, you're allowed to use multiple computers.
It's 2. It's 2.
Yeah, it's
not
it's 2.
3.
Yeah, so I might just end up paying for a third one, just to like be able to have one because in that sense. I'll be able to have mine always. This computer always have it, and then you and James will have one, and nobody will ever get kicked off.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
4 of us fighting over that, bro, would be
bro.
nuts.
Yeah, yeah. So like that was. I texted him. He was like, I mean, actually, he was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, just no, I have 0. I was like, I'm not looking.
I had 0.
And I was like, yeah, I was like, Leland had 0, and he's killing it now. And even on top of that, you have the least amount of pressure because. You were like, Leland had 0 pressure because it wasn't for clients, but it was still WaveChange stuff.
Mhm.
Your vlog is literally just for me. I just need this cut up because it's sitting here. I just don't have time. So I'll probably see if he's interested in that because, again, that'll, like, because I can vlog stuff, but it always comes back to the same thing with the behind the scenes was happening where I just have all this random vlog footage and no time to edit it. And I would just love to, like, at least, even if they don't look good, they can always get better. I just want to have them documented and going. And connecting to that, I wanted to save the video you did. In my brain is like, this is a perfect video to like relaunch my channel. It's not like I say that as if there's tons of people waiting for it, but like in my brain, like
It's a good starting point.
it's a good because it's a good video. I think that'll reattract people to like. I don't like. Initially I was like, this is a fire post, but it's a really good like post that I can use to draw people to the channel. Like, again, not that I'm at all caring about people watching my personal channel, but it is a good video that works as a good, like, oh, this is fire, and then because it feels like it's like it leading to something. It feels like it's a
Yes,
good.
it really does.
It has that energy of
The way
like,
that I had edited it, and then the commentary you had in it, it's like hyper inspirational, hyper like
yep.
oomph,
And
you know?
like I like the like I'm saying how it's like I'm hope like the beginning is like me saying like I hope these videos inspire and show you anything's possible, and that's kind of in my brain. It's like if you end up watching my channel, it is just my journey of building this, and it'll be the raw of like I'm just a dude who didn't know anything, and I've just now I know stuff about this stuff, but it's just from like anything's possible. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do this, and now I'm just in it. And like so like those are the two: WaveChange YouTube, my YouTube, and then obviously this podcast, which is just sort of like a brain dump between us. And like you fully handle this, like that's fully like off. Like has no like I don't like process at all. It's just kind of pulling clips now from my Instagram as I go through them. And then to make it even easier, when we swap back into that other room, it'll make it even easier for filming
Yeah, yeah. No,
because that
a lot
was
of
like
setup.
the one. Well, to pivot, the last one is the can't talk I'm creating, which in my brain, what the category that is because initially can't talk I'm creating was just in my brain like sort of this, but with the WaveChange team. But doing it on a weekly basis, it was good in the beginning, but then it sort of started to me, it started to feel like it was almost forced. Like it was like we got to do an episode. It's like not much has happened this week. Like what are we really talking about? And being that it's more of like a WaveChange property, I really want everything we do to bring value. Um, Apart from like where my YouTube channel, I don't care about it bringing value to anybody. Everything WaveChange, the behind the scenes, the director comments, like the behind the scenes didn't really fully like bring value to anybody apart from like really niche people who care about creating and or the artist. Like a random artist doesn't care about somebody else's behind the scenes. So then my sort of fix is like director commentary because then we can get a sort of a second video out of the behind the scenes, which brings more value than the behind the scenes. And the podcast, like us, the team just shooting the shit in my brain doesn't bring too much value. I liked it in the beginning because it was very like informative, where we would almost talk on the stuff that I want to make the YouTube videos about. It was like sort of informative stuff. But we've sort of taken a break, and not like really purposely taking a break, but with WaveChange being busy, again, I'm the editor on the podcast, so like time wise, it just started falling through, and I was less enthusiastic because I was starting to feel like it's not bringing value. Um, and then, so in my brain, I want to pivot it now more towards it's still like creative conversations. Like we could do it with just the team, but also like bring other creatives on. Like the last episode we did do was with we sort of like interviewed but talked with another creative. I have one scheduled. I'm trying to pick a new date because it's supposed to be tomorrow, but I had to move it with another guy. Does Turk. He does Mad Minds. It's like a performance thing for artists. It's more so like interview kind of with people and just creative discussions. I feel like that brings more value than
Yeah, that
just
would be cool.
yeah. And yes, like that's that pillar in my brain of like the podcast is for like interview and long form conversations with creatives. The WaveChange YouTube brings you straight information as far as like if you're an artist, here's information and like the behind the scenes look, the reality show of like the team. Two Bros podcast is sort of just our brain dump between us. My channel is sort of just my documentation of my life. Like those are like the categories. And then sort of like going brain dumping as the thoughts are coming. The hold back with the podcast for me was obviously the bit of the feeling of like it getting sort of redundant, which wasn't the huge setback. It was honestly the setup and the editing. The editing obviously is a huge like time constraint, but the setup of it was like deterring me from like wanting to do it. Where it was like we obviously have the room set up and everything, but we actively use like this is the studio light. Like we use as productions, having to bring the lights in, set it up. We use one of the cameras we actively use. Like we only have two permanent cameras in there. The other one we bring in, set up. Like that little bit of like 20 minutes of setup is like little, but it adds to like the enthusiasm. Like if we have to film today, it's like, oh, I gotta like set up and it like
Yeah, it takes extra time.
yeah, and like sort of that was like why I wanted you to like sort of learn how to set this up because a little deterrent in my head. It's like, oh, we gotta film today, and it, like my enthusiasm goes down a little bit. It's like, oh, I gotta set up, I gotta bring it like having it more like plug and play makes it easier. And then kind of going with that, I mean, not that I was pivoted away from asking you to edit the YouTube videos, but you're getting a good grips on this podcast. Would you be interested in editing the
Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
Creating podcast? It's basically the same workflow, just with 3 cameras.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you already kind of understand this workflow.
Because editing this, it's if it, like episodes are gonna be like an hour. I think is gonna be the
Yeah,
time
that's
here.
kind of yeah.
So like it takes me just shy of an hour to go through the video. And the last episode that I edited, I didn't really watch the whole thing. I just kind of went to the sections where it needed to swap. So it takes maybe an extra half an hour on top of the length of the video. So it's I could do it.
All right,
It's
word.
not
Yeah,
that
so
bad.
then yeah, like I'll
Because if that takes it off of your plate,
yeah, because that besides like the little bit of setup time, which that'll inevitably get fixed. Obviously, the room, I haven't allotted to want to spend the money. The simple fix to like the setup time is just buy a light just for the podcast that never leaves. Buy an extra camera that never leaves. Which I'll eventually do once I decide to allot the money to it. I just haven't like in my brain, it's like this doesn't make money. I don't want to
yeah, it's on the
money
back
into it.
burner.
Yeah, but eventually, like especially if I want to do a push and really go hard on the podcast, I'll just invest that extra money, buy an extra light, and then the camera is honestly the only setback because I would love to keep. I'm not gonna buy another one of these cameras, but I am looking to upgrade my camera. So if I do, this probably will just become the podcast camera.
And then instead of doing it weekly, you could do it bi-weekly or once a month.
It'll be
It'll give you more stuff to talk.
The Can't Talk I'm creating one. I think will become less structured in the beginning. Not in the beginning because like it's been 2 weeks now, so we dropped an episode. It'll probably be more. Having you now as the editor will make we'll do it a little more, like, yeah, less like of these huge gaps. But even then, until I feel like it's right, which I'm not gonna like put this burden on myself like I did in the beginning, where it's like it's got to be weekly. It's just gonna be when there's value. That's sort of my brain with that podcast. Because I understand how it hurts. Like the best thing for a podcast or for a show is having a schedule. People know when it drops. Like I've seen directly, like when we were dropping weekly, I could see the views, even if it's 10 views, you see them growing because people know to tune in. And then when we would take like a 2-week gap, that next episode wouldn't get the same views because you'll lose that redundancy. And I get that'll hurt it, but I'd rather take that L on like we're not getting when it tunes in, but they bring value more, and we can always build a schedule as it gets more.
Yeah, and if you space them out more, like if you did like bi-weekly, I think monthly, even though that'll be like 12 a year, not that that's bad, you can like put a little bit more time and effort into finding a creative person to bring in, and then like instead of being like, oh, what happened this week? Nothing happened this week. You could be like, oh, well, what happened this month? So you have more that you guys can go through and talk about and.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm probably gonna it'll be right now. There won't be a schedule for that podcast. They'll just roll out as we get them. But then even just knowing that you're gonna be the editor on it, kind of like unlocks my brain from the pressure of like, because I could definitely get creatives here to like, I could definitely get people to film. Like I can bring people in. That's not even a problem to get the episodes filmed. It's just I don't do such a hard push on it because I know like. It's different when it's just a team because like if it gets pushed off, like if the edit gets pushed off a week late, it's not that big of a deal. Versus if we bring someone on, I feel more obligated. Like this needs to get out quicker. So I don't put. Like I've only asked. This will be the second person I like went out of my way, hit them up like, yo, let's do a podcast episode. Because I know like how everything goes. Like this week might be slow, and yeah, the episode sounds great, but by the time I get to editing it, it might be busy, and I'm gonna have to push it back and. But even just knowing you're open to edit it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm super down. I'll probably put a more emphasis on it, and I'll consciously now talking about batch filming. I'll probably go like whatever day I end up rescheduling this one we're gonna film to. Maybe I'll see if I can find another person or even 2 other people and film 3 episodes because we didn't batch film Can't Talk I'm creating, because it was more so like this where it was like week to week based. But with those where it's like more of like interview and just conversation with a specific person, it's around that person, we could batch them. And if I pick, this Sunday, I'm just going to film Can't Talk I'm creating, I'm going to have 3 people pull through.
Yeah.
And then it like do it easier that way. But word, I mean, yeah, even just asking you to be the editor on that and then like my brain just opened up to like, okay, word, we can be better with that. Cause like I love that podcast. I love how like even just like looking at the Instagram, I love it. And I just, every time I go to the Instagram now, being that it's been like 2 weeks since we dropped an episode, like I get this weird, like I'm letting myself down or I'm letting people down. Like the potential that's there. Now I've seen that it's there. I'm letting slide. But it's not like I'm like, I acknowledge it's not because I'm like being lazy on it. It's just purely because WaveChange is taking this, when it gets busy, it's like that stuff has to take priority over the podcast. But now having you edit those, WaveChange being busy doesn't directly affect the podcast getting edited. Um,
Yeah, anything that helps take stuff off of your plate, that helps you better allocate your time and resources into like the really important stuff, I'm all about.
that's I mean, we briefly last week's episode,
Yeah, we
episode
touched on
5,
that.
I sort of brain dumped about how I'm trying to get better with the delegating stuff, and that's sort of where I'm trying to like that is sort of like that. Like I want to do the podcast. All right, let's delegate it out. Like you're down to take this edit. So yeah, you edit the podcast, and then like getting better at that, and like, acknowledging the stuff where it's like in my brain, it's like not even like a negative way. I'm sure you'll agree. It's like if I edit something, it'll turn out better than if you edit something. But like the podcast, how much better is the podcast going to be edited that it's cutting between cameras? It's like there isn't like the level of better it could be versus like if I give you a music video versus me editing a music video, better the gap is like this, where it's like the podcast, there really isn't a gap that could exist because it's just cutting cameras. And it's like acknowledging that. It's like even with the music videos, that's like sort of in this last, like since we've talked in the last episode, I've obviously spent the last week dealing with that same thing, the delegating and acknowledging it's like the music videos are even the same thing where it's like I used to have the separating the ego outside of it. Delegating the music videos is like me doing a music video and like Steve, Jose, or even now Cam, because he's been editing some of them. We've brought him really on to editing more of the music videos. The gap between it being quote unquote better of a music video if I do it versus Steve, there's no gap, there's no better. It's just obviously it's different. Like if Steve edits a video and I edit the same video, they'll be different, but it's not better in any sense. So acknowledging it's like there's no like I should and can if I want to do more stuff, I can delegate those because as soon as there isn't a gap of like it's going to be significantly better if I do it than somebody else, I should delegate that so then I could do something else. Where it's like the informational videos for the YouTube channel. Right now, I know it'll be better if I do it because I know what it is in my head versus like if I gave Steve to edit it, he could do a good job. He's phenomenal at editing, but it might not be what I want it to be.
It's what, yeah, you have the vision in your head.
So it's like right now there's like bigger gap on it being quote unquote better for lack of a better term. If I do it, so it's like it's better, it's smarter if I delegate the music videos where there isn't a gap. If I delegate those to the people who can do them good, and then I focus on this. Same thing with the podcast. It's like I could just hold the ego of like I edit and film the podcast, but it's like that's causing the podcast to drop once a month, if not once every other month now. It's like so delegating that and kind of addressing that where it's like my YouTube channel. It's like I know it'll be way better if I edit it than if James edits it, but it's like acknowledging, like I said, I don't care about that being perfect or even looking anyway. I just want it to exist so I can just watch them. It'd be stupid for me to pull resources away from something else to do that when that can be delegated. And sort of as these different things come up, addressing like, is this something that I need to be doing or I should be doing, or is it better for the whole network that it does get given to somebody else?
Yeah, and then also with that, you can always have your hands like partially on.
Yeah,
like,
final like sort of the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
delegated
yeah.
behind the scenes, but I just final pass some and
even not even that. You can like if you have James do like the first edit, you can have him like either give you the project or export it, and then you just watch it over and then tell him
that
stuff, and then he can go back and then
Exactly.
go through it again. This way if it's 20-minute video, you don't have to watch the 20 minutes and then spend 2 hours finalizing editing it. You could spend the 20 minutes, think of what you want to tell him, and then give it back to him. That extra hour and a half of editing isn't there anymore. It's back on him.
Yeah, see
You know what I mean?
that's like obviously just the delegating is the huge thing I had to sort of like the first hump I had to get over of like the ego of like I do all these things, like I identify as all these things, and like yeah, like sort of like I've like the podcast, like you could take the podcast edit, like obviously like you know the formula now, but on top of that it's like you could also now go back and watch the 50 episodes we have and get how it should look. The same thing behind the scenes. You can go watch the behind the scenes I've already done, know how they should look, and like and acknowledging that it's like that I sort of create the blueprint and then put it to somebody else. The next hurdle that I've because I've sort of gotten past the first hurdle. I've gotten good in the last month, and now even in the last week after we had that conversation, every day I've gotten a little better at delegating and sort of separating my ego. It's that next hurdle of like when I'm getting the corrections back, I'm still I sort of acknowledged it over this last week that I'm like that's the hump I'm getting over right now, where it's like I've delegated out, but I'm getting an edit back, and instead of like giving somebody notes, I'm like, I don't want to tell them like I don't like this or they should
No, no,
change
you
this.
shouldn't.
So I just take it and I'll just fix it. And it's like this is almost defeating the purpose of delegating because I'm still just spending time on it. Um,
But in giving the like, oh, I don't like how you did this, or that, as long as the person's a receptive person, it'll help them learn.
Exactly, and it makes them if I can do that, it makes it better. It shortens the amount. Like eventually, if I keep giving them notes, it'll become to the point where it's like I have no like there is no. I watch it, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. But like sort of like separate like dealing with that hurdle of like being able to tell the person you got to do these corrections and like not like I don't know exactly what it's not necessarily like telling them telling somebody it's bad because I have yet to like because the only people I've really like Steve, Jose, and now Cam, because they were actively editing music videos. Um, it's not necessarily saying like this is bad because I have yet to like really watch something that any of them have done where I'm like, oh, this is just bad. It's more so just like little things that like that I want to tweak, but it like I don't know if it's my hesitation to like give them notes is like not wanting to make them spend more time on it, but it's like that's sort of adjusting like that's part like it that we're all here. I know everyone is here and they want to be here. It's not like I'm forcing anybody to be here. So like, why do I feel a weird way of like giving them quote unquote more work? Like,
It, I'd say it's probably a degree of like coming from somebody who, like, if somebody came to you and said something about something that you did, you'd not necessarily you would, but you would feel almost like a personal attack. So you're afraid, not afraid, but you're afraid that that's how they would feel, and they're gonna be like, oh, like you think less of me, or oh, you think I
yeah,
do.
and like, yeah, and like, yeah, because I definitely, I mean, yeah, acknowledge like obviously, like when I get notes back from a person, it's like, yeah, not in like a negative way. Like I feel like they don't like what I did, but there is a level of like, oh damn, I got to go back into this and like tweak it. And it's like, yeah, probably because I actively like deal with that because it'd be different. I think if I would just like start a WaveChange, but I just started WaveChange. I didn't make the videos. I just from the beginning delegated. I found editors, I found shooters, and it'd probably be a lot easier to be like give them notes because I didn't firsthand experience like getting those notes back how it feels. So I have that like yeah that's probably what it is but it's like sort of like like separating from that because like acknowledging it's like one everyone here actively wants to be here. It's like no one's forced to be here. It's like everyone understands what comes with it, and it's the same like when Steve does a video, I'll I like we get notes back from the artist. I send him the notes the artist sent, but there's that level of like the artist said this versus like now it's
it's like a
you
separation.
know it's coming from me, and it's like but it just acknowledging like that's just what it takes to grow it, and it's like kind of being like not like a negative way, but it's kind of being stern on like yeah, like even if it comes from me, it's like if you are unhappy, like sort of expressing to you and like everybody who now is working in like on editors and stuff, sort of like like giving the stance of like if at any point you don't want to do this or you're unhappy or this makes you unhappy, just like open communicate, like express that to me. Like I will take this on and do it. You don't have to do it. Not that like that should be happening, but like making it known, like it's not like you gotta do this almost. Like it's finding a way to like express that it's like this is like you want to be this sounds negative, but like you want to be a part of this, you want to do this, this is what comes with it. These are the corrections you gotta do. Like
Well, part of building a team and part of building a company, like if you have these guys here and you're bringing more people on and you want them to like one succeed for themselves but two succeed for the company, like a good like comparison that I can draw from more personal experience than anything is like look at construction for example. Like if you're gonna be a welder and you're going to class for being a welder and you go and you do your welding and you don't do it the way that the instructor or whoever told you how they want it done or they need it done,
mhm.
the guy doesn't come in and then just like take it and then just do it himself. He comes in and he tells them what to do. This way, the person who did it knows where to improve and kind of how to improve. This way, the person gets better.
It
And
helps them get
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this situation, like with the company, like I'll use James for example. He's not technically in the part of the company, but if he does an edit and he gives it to you and then you give him back some notes on things to fix and tweak and shit, it'll help him be able to improve his skills. You know what I mean? So he'll get better. Or like the guys here, it'll help them get better with certain things so that the projects that they work on, they can do better and they can like, you know.
See the I as we were just talking about, I'm kind of like thinking about more. Part of my hesitation definitely comes with um it's like when you compare it to like construction. I like my first thought that it came up with is like because like right now like we all acknowledge that like people get paid here, but like obviously still like we still do, there's some videos that are free, and like I have a hesitation of like delegating those videos out, being like work on this, and but you're not going to get paid. And like everyone here, Steve, Jose, even Cam has expressed like that like it's okay, like we know we're building for this, like even if the free videos, like it's like I'm not like waiting on a paycheck almost, like I'm down to do it, but in my brain or whatever I still see it as like giving you work and not paying. And like I'm realizing that just as we're talking about it, even on like the videos that like the paid videos, it's way easier for me to give someone notes because it's like I know they're getting paid for this. It's like here's the corrections. Like I know corrections suck, but like you get these corrections done, then you can get paid for this. Versus like, and it's like it's been easier. Like this month, I pivoted a little in the structure of like I've been really obviously always make sure everyone gets paid, but I've really hard pressed the last like month or so on like making sure everyone's gets paid as much as they can. And it's obviously caused me like Corey hasn't, like I've technically never like gotten paid because all my money has always gone into WaveChange. I just keep enough to pay my credit card bill and like the stuff I have to pay for. But like I don't get paid the same way the guys get paid. Like if we do a shoot, there's a percentage breakdown, who shot, who did what, and like they get paid directly where I don't get a percentage. It goes into WaveChange. And like I've made a harder press on that even like in the last month of like making sure they get paid even if it means I don't, because I feel better delegating knowing they're getting paid even if it means I'm getting less. Obviously the only like I just got to make sure the WaveChange bills get covered each month, and like until the bills get paid, nobody gets paid, because if the bills don't get paid,
Nobody makes money.
we don't have a place to, the bills don't get paid, we don't have a place to exist. WaveChange doesn't exist. We lose this place, and then um but yeah, taking that like sort of step of like, okay, making sure, oh, you're on the shoot, you get paid, like everyone gets paid even if I don't. And like sort of like yeah, like I can just after talking about it, my hesitation partially comes from like that. Like even like with the behind the scenes, like if you give me stuff, giving you notes to me, it's like I know like I don't really pay you for the behind the scenes. I in the beginning I was paying you more because when you started doing them, there was more. The income was definitely higher. It not slowed down, but it's been allocated a little more because we brought on like Jose has been integrated more since you started the behind the scenes, and now even with Cam, it's like there was a little more money just sitting, and then like even just like the bills, the wave change, the rent changed a little bit because you got more rooms and like there's less money. So it's like thinking about giving you, even like asking you to do the podcast. It's like damn, like asking you to edit this podcast, but like knowing there isn't money to like pay you, and like I almost don't want to ask you because I know I can't pay. Even when like you can go, I don't care about getting paid. I'm down to do it because I know what I'm building. There's still that hesitation, but sort of like understanding the same way in the beginning, even now, like I'm down to do free work because I know what I'm building. That these other people are telling me that. It's just acknowledging that and being able to like, okay, like that's a good.
Well, think of it this way. Technically, in my opinion, you haven't paid me for any editing. Pretty much all the paying you've ever done me was for like construction
The
stuff.
building stuff. Okay, yeah.
That's how I've always looked at it. All the money that I've ever made through you guys
Was the building, yeah.
building a wall or building the infinity wall or building the bar and all this stuff. And the editing was more of like we kind of came to the conclusion at the same time and addressed it to each other at the same time of like, I'd like to do editing. You have stuff that you need to take off of your plate, and then it's just building editing. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's also like I like the one thing like I like giving work that can even if it doesn't like the podcast as much as like I'm hesitant to be like, do you want to edit the podcast because I know I can't pay you right now to edit it. The podcast, I like the idea of you editing that even more than like the behind the scenes. Not that it's more important, but because I know the podcast will generate money before the behind the scenes will. And it's like being able to do that. That's like Steve, Jose, Cam, they edit music videos. They're doing work on stuff that currently generates money, so it's easier. The money goes directly to them. Where it's like paying for the behind the scenes to get edited, that just directly comes out of my pocket or the company's pocket because the behind the scenes doesn't make money. And like I like the podcast, like taking Can't Talk I'm creating. I know that podcast, if it's active, if it's going, like if it's not, like it's constantly going and it's growing, that will make money. Whether it is from the YouTube ads or if we start getting enough views, even just views on like the podcast doesn't get views, but if the clips get views, we can get, even if it's a random brand to pay us or
Yeah, like
whatever,
sponsors.
just a sponsors in it. And it's like I like that idea because I've sort of built the structure of everything now that it's like the music videos obviously pay for everything as of right now. It funds being able to do everything else. So it's like having you edit the podcast to me is like, all right, you're down to do the podcast and not get paid for it. But in my brain, it's like, all right, you're not going to get paid now. But as soon as the podcast makes money, the podcast doesn't have any bills apart from if we wanted to buy cameras for or something, that would technically be. But as soon as the podcast makes money, now you make money, and it's like it's like scalable where it's not like I'll give you $100 per edit of the podcast. It's like you make what the podcast makes. You're kind of signing up, just using you as the example.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
signing up now. It's like it's $0, but you know you're signing up to, like, if the podcast makes $100,000 an episode, you're making damn near the full 100,000 because it's not like we need to pull money. We're only pulling money out if we decide, all right, we should buy equipment, or like technically the company structure. If the podcast makes $100,000, WaveChange will take its percentage as a company out because that's just everything that the company does.
Yeah,
The
that makes
company
sense.
takes a percentage to go towards the rent, but then it's not like I pride myself on being like I'm not super attached to money whatsoever. It's like the rent's paid, like if the company gets its percentage, take the company percentage out, all that money left. It's not like, all right, I made the podcast, I want this much of it. It's like, no, you make that much because it like I'd rather, it makes me feel better, and it like I personally feel like it incentivizes people more to want to be a part of it and do more. It's like you kind of sign up now, you're not getting paid now, but like with like almost you're putting your investment in now, and the investment is the time, not like you're putting money investment, but like you're putting the investment now to then one day there's no ceiling on how much. If the podcast makes $1 million and whatever it makes, like we signed some huge deal, it's like that goes to you because you put the investment in. The same way how when me and Steve first started doing videos, Steve was like, I just want to be a part of I want to just be a part of WaveChange. I just want to like, I don't care about getting paid. There was no, how much like can you pay me? It was just like, I want to be a part of that. Knowing that he's in the investment now, Steve gets like he has paid off the work.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's sort of that like time investment, and like me kind of like understanding that as I delegate stuff out, and just keeping the open communication with everybody I'm bringing on, that sort of is what it is. It's like I need to be okay with like delegating free work out, but also be good at like making sure like you're going to edit this, like that's how I see it. It's not like I'm just asking you to do this free work and boom. And like, cause like I like the idea that like somebody's doing all this free work, and then if it's not like clear or like being addressed and like reassured that like I'm doing all this, I edited 100 podcast episodes, like what if it just blows up? Are they just gonna leave me behind? It's like that is like not my view at all. It's like obviously like I can't really leave you behind. Like if I leave you behind, I'm gonna see you at the house. It's like I can't. But making sure I keep that
Your
open.
shit's in the lawn.
Yeah, right. I come home, it's like, oh, I guess I probably should be paying for those. I probably shouldn't have kept that $100,000 for the podcast. But yeah, like I need to make sure I'm on top of like making sure that is known by the people who are investing their time. It's like I acknowledge the time you're investing. Like I know it, and like that's what it is. Like it's not like if all these things, when I'm not gonna say if, when all these things generate millions of dollars, I'm not like as long as wherever I'm living, the rent is paid and it's like, or like my bills are paid, I'm not looking to get rich off these things because I know that the value of all these things we're building, that it'll get to a point that like there'll just be so much money that I'll just inevitably become rich off these things. Like I don't need to like grab money because I have worked with teams where it's like I'm doing all this free work and then I see them generating money off stuff and it's like I'm not seeing any of that, and like how that builds that resentment, and just like making sure it's clear that like like your time investment is noted and appreciated, and you get, when there is money, you're getting that money. It's not like
you're in consideration.
yeah, and it's like not even like like the like as soon as the WaveChange YouTube in any form, whether it's the behind the scenes, whatever, when the WaveChange YouTube generates money, you're the first person besides the company who gets paid for that because you're doing the work. When the podcast now makes money, you get like you get that money because it paid off. The same thing. This podcast, if this podcast ever made money, you get the lion's share because you're doing the bulk of the work.
Wawa?
What's up, Wawa?
I'm always drinking a cup of Wawa coffee.
I don't know if you want to throw.
I think every episode so far, there's been a cup of Wawa coffee.
It's sort of like kind of acknowledging that. I guess this is my form of like having that conversation with you. That it's like if you take on like the work you're doing with the behind the scenes and with stuff, it's like when there's money, and even outside, like the podcast is kind of its own thing. That it's like when the podcast makes money, you'll make that money. But even the behind the scenes, because personally, like the reason I wanted to add the WaveChange YouTube to bring more value with adding in the informational stuff, I don't see us blowing up off of behind the scenes videos. Because like I said, at most, the surface level, the only person who cares about a behind the scenes video is the artist whose video it is and his peers, and if they have fans, like as we do bigger artists and people build fan bases. Besides that, chances are somebody's not like you're not tuning into behind the scenes. I watch other directors behind the scenes because I'm in that niche.
Yeah.
So the behind the scenes have the least amount to make money, but I kind of rope that in with the like WaveChange, like the music videos and stuff. That it's like when WaveChange generates enough money, like if the video, because right now we have our set price for the videos, and it just makes enough that WaveChange gets a percentage for the rent, and the people actively shooting and editing get paid. That's it. If I am not the person like directing, shooting, or editing, I don't even get paid. The company gets paid, and the people doing it. As the budgets get bigger and we have bigger videos, and the company makes more money, even if like the behind the scenes, if our YouTube channel doesn't get any more views, it gets 0 views, but the company grows enough, you'll get money, you'll get paid for doing the behind the scenes. Where the podcast is a little different. Like if WaveChange grows and the podcast doesn't, we're not going to allocate money from that because it's kind of sort of its own entity. But yeah, even that, like you're investing the time into the behind the scenes. That it's like when there's extra money, when there's money that can be paid out, you're the next person that it gets paid to. Because like the people who do the work are obviously the first paid, the company percentage, and then the next person in my brain to get paid, even before I would get paid, would be you for doing the behind the scenes, even if that doesn't generate money.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, but like sort of getting good at my communication with people that is acknowledged, so that doesn't build that little bit of resentment. Because like I said, I've worked with people who like I wasn't doing free work, and like in the beginning, like I knew the value of like, oh, we're building something, but then over time and slow, like it comes like just over time, if it grows slow or like a year in of the free work, if it's not sort of reassured, or you're not, even if it's like, there's probably ways to reassure it without just even directly having the, like every once in a while being like, I do appreciate the free work. And like when there's money, like I acknowledge how like that resentment can build, even if it's like just from it being unspoken or being unaddressed. And it's like, I might know that, but so much is going on and we're doing so much work, and it's not hasn't grown enough where you get paid enough. I'm sort of rambling, but it's like making sure that is known, like constantly readdressed and known between everybody. That's like the free work isn't free work. It's time investment, and you will be compensated on that as the thing grows. Because we're actively, that's also why I like sort of like keeping it like smaller, as far as like, it would be super easy for me right now to just go find 5 editors and 5 other shooters and just bring them into this thing but like I've been a part of a team that sort of did that. They would just bring in tons of people, offer them that same thing. You do this free work, you'll get compensated, but the more people doing that free work, the more they have to be compensated. So you need to make even more for that person that compensated, where it's like the smaller and more tight knit we get, the less it needs to grow for them to get compensated for that time investment. But that's just,
and then as the finances expand based off of the small group, you can then bring more people on. You know,
exactly.
If, for example, just throwing numbers out there, if it takes $100,000 a year to run everybody and pay everybody here, if you make 150,000 one year, then you can afford to bring on more people and then grow it. And then, you know, you have 1 or 2 extra people. Then the next year you make 250, and then you make 500,000. You can then start expanding at a more comfortable rate and way.
Yeah, because I feel like obviously you need however many people in the beginning who are all just down with the like, we're in this shit. Like we're investing our time. When there's money, there's money. When there's not, we're investing the time because we know that. But like, yeah, like I've seen how people do it wrong where it's just like obviously if you just like looking at like on paper bringing in 5 more editors, 10 more shooters, we could do more work. But like if we're not actively like if the company hasn't grown that we're not getting enough work to pay these people right now, it'd be stupid to bring them on and have that because it like starts to build that little bit of resentment where I'd rather keep it more tight knit. And it's like you said, like it's a lower threshold where everybody can get compensated. And then because right now I don't think we technically, not even technically, right now we don't need to bring like with on the new system where you're doing the Ken's Like I'm Creating podcast, and you're doing the behind the scenes director commentary, and then me and the guys split the actual like client work, like the bread and butter. We don't need to bring another person on. It would just be because we want to. It like it doesn't like not like we're like now we're at the point we have enough people and we have the system built where it's like we only need to bring somebody on once there's too much work for all of us to handle. Where it's like it was a little, yeah, that's it. That's sort of the end of that thought. But yeah, it's like we have the team now. It's like everybody kind of has their position. Everybody knows what they're here to do. Everybody understands the time investment, and then we just kind of grow it and we only expand as needed. It's like we don't just bring somebody on because we want to bring like like maybe we should just bring somebody else on. It's like
Yeah.
does it make sense as a company? Because now that we have a company structure, it's like does it make sense? Yeah, we like this person. If they want to come to a shoot, cool. But it's not like we have the core team until there's enough work to the same way. Because it's like a weird thing is like I watch a lot of stuff, videos on people just talking about scaling businesses, just like business people who talk about you start in this business, this is how you scale it. And it is a little different because I started mine not as a business. I started WaveChange just as I want to make stuff and post like as just this thing. It wasn't like I'm starting a video business for the first year, for the first couple years. It wasn't like this is a business. This is just I want to do this thing and do it. And it sort of turned into a business. So I'm sort of building that sort of structure out where like some people, I'm starting this candle company. You start from the beginning. It's like, all right, we are making $0, so I can't bring an employee on. Oh, now we're making this much. Now we bring someone on. Where in the beginning it was just me doing it. Steve was like, I want to be doing videos too. Let's do it together. Even Jose, when he got brought on, it wasn't like, oh, the numbers say we have too much work to handle between the two of us, so we should bring another guy on. It was just like me and Steve had fun doing this. Jose's interested in it, so we brought him on. And now it's like, as we build the company structure, addressing it as like, does it financially make sense to bring somebody on? Because now we have numbers. Now we treat it like a business. We track income. We know what we're making. Is there more work?
Makes sense.
I think that
Is your brain dump?
I was gonna say that was the hour right there. Damn, of just a nonstop brain dump. Let me read this over. Yeah, that was go over the YouTube, talk about like delegating it out.
Glad I could help you get all that out and work through.
Yeah, that was it's kind of been saying I really enjoy this podcast for those reasons. And I gotta like sort of I like that I did this sort of structure before when you said you're on your way. I like stopped what I was doing and like sat down and just thought about like I wasn't like necessarily thinking like let me think of what can me and Leon talk about. I was like, all right, I wanted this to be a brain dump. What am I just actively like? What is looping in my brain? And
smart.
yeah, like and just sort of listed that out and sort of used this because this is like low key like kind of just therapy for I don't know for me at least maybe for you too, but like
Sometimes.
sort of just like being able to like brain dump and it's nicer. No, I mean I highly doubt Law. I don't even think Law watches these, and if she does, I can't imagine she's gonna watch the end of an episode. So if you did watch this far, apologize, Law. But like
Yeah.
Law is typically like in my life sort of that where it's like all this stuff I sort of just brain dump to you. I had brain dumped to her, but being that I don't know if it's just because we're in a relationship or probably a little bit of that, but also being that she's integrated with the actual like business and we're sort of doing the business together kind of. When I brain dump, it's more of like I'll say the first point and she'll actively try to like give me a solution to fix the business where I more so kind of just want to brain dump and conversate over it.
Kind of work through it a little bit.
And like kind of just in a conversation and less of like looking for a solution, which is like not a negative thing, but like I like this and like doing it with you sort of and I like this because it is just sort of like brain dump it out and then sort of like hear your opinion on it as somebody also again who's not like obviously you're like in it, you're here, you do the like to do the stuff, but
I'm
not
far removed.
yeah, like you're more removed than she is in the day to day, so it is nice to sort of brain dump and talk to somebody or kind of get it out from an outside perspective.
Yeah. That's funny when you said the candle thing. laughing inside because most episodes and in other videos like the inspiration video, we just like throw random business ideas out just for our explanations.
Yeah.
Like you want to make you want to do something with cheese, or we're gonna make something
Yeah.
with cheese, or like a candle company or whatever. A couple episodes we talked about some other nonsense.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. Yeah, brain dump.
Damn. Well, I mean, unless you if you have anything to sort of touch on that, anything that's pretty much the end of my brain dump. Sort of, yeah, I kind of wanted to list out. It's even just like the amount like there is something the one I think the first day you started coming to you went to church with me, they talked about the power of like saying it out loud even versus just like in your head. Like people are like, I think about it every day, why don't I just say it out loud? Like everything I just sort of brain dumped. I have so many random notebooks that I've listed out the pillars of WaveChange. Like I read it. It's in this notebook. Like WaveChange YouTube, what it is, my like, and like I wrote it out and thought like I think about it so much, but something about just kind of saying it out loud and vocalizing it, it feels like it's been released, and now I can sort of look at it a little different of just saying it out loud.
It's similar. It kind of goes back to like the obviously. Well, technically, when you speak, you hear yourself, but it kind of goes back to like the you might know, but you need to hear it kind of thing, where like it something about like the way the human brain works or whatever. Just like getting it out and like getting it out to like when you talk to Law about this stuff and you get her back and forth with you, and it's like here's the solution, here's the solution, here's the solution that can work and that can help and stuff, but like something like this helps. I wouldn't say that more guys over girls, but I think just kind of generally speaking, I think it helps more because as you speak about it, you can articulate, and then like your brain will actually start to process and work through some of it a little bit. It'll help you like refine your ideas. It'll help you like see the different aspects of it that you weren't really like paying attention to or noticing, or maybe like it'll help you kind of come to the conclusion that you're unsure of or you're looking for, or it'll help you kind of like I don't know, bring yourself to the point of like you have like these things in your head that you've just been going over and over and over again, and it's like um it's almost like an earworm. Like if a song's stuck in your head, people say listen to the song, right? Where it's like if the thing is in your head, you're gonna start to kind of like feel like you're driving yourself crazy. But once you talk about it and you kind of get it out, even if you just like talk to yourself, like I do that to myself all the time. I'll like just to kind of speak out loud for a little while, and it kind of brings like a peace of mind to you. You know what I mean? So it kind of helps you like
Yeah, I mean that probably is like part of like if you like the value of like going to the actual therapy is part of probably that because like you're talking about the stuff that you are dealing with, but something about talking it out and like just expressing it out loud.
yeah, because like I think uh, keeping it internally, like keep it in your head. Everybody thinks differently, and like some people think in words, some people think in images, some people don't have like an internal monologue type of thing. Um, but like the getting it out and the being able to articulate it kind of like fleshes out the thought, fleshes out those ideas, and it like it almost I'm gonna botch this, concretizes them.
Okay,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, like
solidifies
solidifies
them.
them. Yeah,
So that it doesn't like it's not like a an overinflated water balloon in your head. You're able to like release some of the tension, and in the like in the small words between the large topics of what's in your head,
mm-hmm.
it helps you kind of like move through the water of it, right? You know, it like you said, like it's like a therapy thing. Um, it's very helpful, and like what you said again, using this podcast for things like this. This is pretty much ideally what the sentiment is, that the idea of it all was, because like I'm not a very entertaining's not the word. I'm a person that doesn't like really have much going on, but I'm good personally at like breaking things down and talking through things with people and like kind of breaking things apart, and like when we had the 2 hour long episode of just about like religion and faith and stuff. It's like sitting down, like I could talk about myself a little bit, but like I'll get to a point where like I don't really have anything else to say. Like what am I gonna talk about? Video games and anime. And it's like, okay, well, of those two things, I'll talk about right now. I'll talk about Battlefield for a little while, and then I have nothing else to share. Or like, so in like episodes like this one, or like an episode 3, where we talked about religion and stuff, I like it a lot because I feel like I'm being helpful or useful or whatever. But then also, it's like a brand exercise for me or for you or for whoever I'm talking to or we're talking to or whatever. Where it's like, this is a good use for this because it helps. It's an outlet for you. You step away from your day to day. You step away from being trapped in your box that you have created, and being able to just kind of like mind-numbingly dump whatever's going on, good or bad, and it help you work things out. And then it kind of gives me an insight to your life, and it gives you a better insight to your own life, and like these types of things. And then obviously for whoever ends up watching it, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely do. I mean, yeah, definitely. If it makes you feel like makes you feel better or like makes you feel good that like you are definitely you like this is so useful to me. Like even like just the like doing it weekly and like having the structure and like kind of comparing it to the other podcasts where it's like I was the only like real held like one kind of holding accountability for that podcast to be weekly. Like obviously the guys would be like we filming a podcast this week, but not nearly even to the level of like even just you texting me yesterday being like we haven't been good as far as like scheduling recordings. Like I'm gonna pull up tomorrow and like we'll do it and like having that like when you text me that I acknowledged I was like because I knew yesterday Monday I was busy like I wouldn't be able to film it.
oh, I checked the calendar. I text you only after I check the calendar. I'm good about watching that calendar.
I mean, yeah, it's good at like that. I'd be sharing it out. But yeah, like, when you texted me that, and my brain went to like, oh, like we got to record, like I got to set up, like it's like it was almost like the burden of it, and even like when I was filling my schedule, so I do my schedule for the next day. Like, yeah, I do today's schedule last night when I leave the office, and I put it on my calendar as far as what I had to shoot today was just this podcast, and even doing that part, there was like a little bit of like, ah, damn, we got to film the podcast. But like I really like once we get into it and doing it, it's like I'm so thankful that we did it and like so happy we did it. So it's like really nice. It's like I imagine like I've never gone it there where people like I imagine it's part of like, oh, I got to do therapy again this week. Like it's probably weeks that you're like not feeling it. It's like I could just push it off, but like even if you don't want to do it, doing it once you do it and after you do it, you're like happy you did it and beneficial. So it's like even like yeah, like and kind of like treating it like yeah, like the brain dump where it's like versus like oh shit, we have nothing to talk about and making it like a stressful thing where it's like nah, it's just a brain dump, have a conversation. There'll be weeks like to this week where it's like I had a lot in my mind, and there'll probably be weeks that it's like something's going on in your life and it's like I might not, and then your brain dump, and then it's just sort of just having that kind of
Yeah, but
is
then
really
also
nice.
it's like the weeks or the episodes of like there really isn't anything going on. Like you might have a slow week, and like all my weeks are fucking slow weeks. Um, where like we can lean into other things a little bit, and then instead of it having to be oriented around like work related stuff or like creative stuff, like we talked about fucking anime movies for like 20 minutes on one episode, and we can like lean into stuff like that, which is cool because then like you can step out again out of your box and like not experience but like express more and like what's the word I'm looking for, like step into finding and vocalizing other things that are appealing to you or to me, but
Yeah, to me, yeah, because I know initially it was like I wanted when I first texted you about doing this podcast, it was about like I want to do something that isn't about wave change or like in this scope, and like obviously today it was like all about wave change, but it is like obviously because like in my brain it's like yeah, I want it to not be about wave change, but I want it to just be more about me as a person, which it's like that doesn't mean this podcast we can't talk about wave change stuff. It's just addressing like this isn't just a wave change podcast. It's about Corey and Leland as people, and like it'd be dumb to not acknowledge that like wave change is the large lion's share of my life, so it's gonna come up. But it is okay. Like it's not that's all we talk about. Like it is like just a place that we can have that, and having kind of like the balance is nice because it leads that bit of like I said earlier where it's like the it's nice even when it is like an episode like this where it is just about wave change. It is nice to talk to you that isn't just in the wave change scope. It's like, yeah, I could talk about this thing, but it is talking about it in a different mindset of like talking to if I was gonna have the same discussion with Steve, where it would be different in my brain talking, and it would be like being able to talk about somebody who have this relationship that isn't about WaveChange. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
sort of
less
like
business oriented. And to be fair, I would assume most, close to 50%, give or take a percentage on either side, episodes are going to like fall into touching on wave change and touching on creative stuff, because that's one of the big things we have in common right now is like, because like you are all about creative and I'm like stepping more into doing creative stuff. So obviously just like naturally that's going to keep coming up, whether it's like YouTube videos or music videos or like podcast stuff or like, like stuff's going on with the company or like whatever. But then like pretty much anything else that we've talked about aside from faith and religion is on a creative standpoint. And it makes sense, obviously, again, because creative person, becoming creative person, but then like the world is a creative place,
yeah, like we
So
talked about
like,
in that one episode where everything, like I was saying, like literally everything in life is creating, but it's just in different frameworks.
so like a couple times, like my struggle is always like, oh, I don't have anything to talk about. And that's usually always been my struggle when it comes to like conversating with people. I don't have anything really. I feel like I don't have anything to bring to the table. But if something is brought to the table, I'm able to like capitalize on that. So like an episode like this, I didn't really have a lot of things to like. I didn't have anything to talk about aside from like I mentioned, maybe we could talk about dreams and stuff because that's something that is intriguing to me in general. And then like I dream more so than I think most people do, or I remember a lot of my dreams. Um, but like in having a topic on the table, I'm able to like shift my brain and then just play around that topic, whether it's like we talk about religion stuff or we talk about company structure or we talk about like being inspirational or like finding inspiration or like, like we could talk about like video games and anime and TV shows and movies and like sequel culture and stuff. Like if 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 there is something brought and put on the table to talk about, I'll be able to sit on that topic for like however long we have to sit on the topic for, more or less. You know what I mean? Like I might find the wall earlier or later for the hour, but for the most part, I'm able to like have things to talk about, but then in the flow of a conversation, I think I'm really good at being able to like pull from and bounce off of whatever's being said. You know what I mean? Because I figured when I pulled up and you were like, oh, I got a brain dump, and then you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna just kind of get through a lot of my bulk. There were times where like in listening to you talk, I just kind of let you keep talking, but then at certain points, I tried to push in and say a couple of things. One, because it kind of adds to the back and forth again, but then also for like brain dumping or like long-winded monologues in the context of a conversation, it's helpful. Yes, it's helpful to let the person kind of get everything out, but then also I think it's helpful, like specifically if you have if you have it written down, so you don't like lose that train of thought. You can always go back to it.
Mm.
Jumping in and like touching on certain parts and certain aspects is very useful for not necessarily me as the person jumping in, but you as the person who's brain dumping, because it'll help like it'll help you be able to articulate that and future points that you're going to drop. But then also like it kind of like breaks it up a little bit instead of just like you get into verbal diarrhea.
Yeah, that's what I was literally just about to add in, that you're good at like integrating in, not like overbearing where it like, yeah, like you sort of let the brain dump go, but if you keep letting it go, it just turns into rambling where you kind of add in, like at least in this conversation, it felt like, yeah, like you add in enough that it like kind of helps it come out of like it just being rambling and like re-articulate, gives a second to like readjust and like continue. Yeah.
And then also like not to like keep forcing the conversation to keep moving, but um I found like a skill that I have kind of identified and then I'm able to like work on through conversations with people, like now with this podcast with you, and then like not casual conversations, but like more deeper conversations. So like a lot of my conversations at the tattoo shop, I'm really, I find that I'm really good at, and I enjoy doing it a lot in the whole like exactly what I just described, where it's like a person starts talking about a thing and then in the moment, like I'm not walking into the conversation kind of knowing what I'm going to respond with, but being able to like, it's almost like a divine intervention that I have internally as I'm listening, where it's like you're talking about a thing, and then in that explanation, I have like an aha moment where I kind of like almost know exactly what to say and how to word it, to help like one get the point across that I'm about to make, but then also in a lot of the cases, like I identify it as it's happening here in the conversation that we've been having, is where it's like as you're verbal diarrheaing your ideas, you'll like kind of like your brain will get paused because you don't know what you're trying to say or how you're trying to get it out. And I'll have that like aha moment where I'll say blah 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 blah, and it'll help you like, oh yeah yeah yeah, and then you structure the rest of what you're explaining to better explain it. Obviously for me in the conversation, but then for you in your brain and like in the whole like the analogy of the overfilled water balloon, instead of like letting the water out, it's able to expand the water balloon itself so that you can like internally work through it more after the conversation and then be better to like implement stuff, kind of like going on to last week's episode where we had a bunch of conversation about like you leaning into the delegation side of things and like stepping into like a more managerial position of the company. And then fast forward to this week where in a lot of what you were saying is you pretty much took everything we talked about and actively implemented it. And I would assume that a lot of this this past week's like development in you with that stems from the conversation we had. Like I bet you if we didn't have that conversation,
It probably wouldn't have. Yeah, it wouldn't have.
you probably would have taken steps, but it probably wouldn't have been as good, as strong, and as much. And you probably would have not felt as comfortable and good about the steps that you did end up taking and are taking moving forward.
I mean, yeah, I definitely think you have a talent in conversation where, like we've talked about it in another episode, that like you don't, you just said it too. You don't go into a conversation, kind of like with like predetermined what you're gonna say almost. Like even if like somebody says something, like or I say something, or like you, it seems like you have a pretty good talent where it's like even if I say something and I'm still talking, like a lot of times even I catch myself doing it. Like I one thing you said makes me want to say something, and now all I'm thinking is I'm waiting for you to stop so I can say this thing I want to say. Where you, I feel like you're actively just it like letting the conversation happen, and it's more like reactionary versus like you have this thing already decided you want to say and just waiting to get it in, versus like reaction, like you're reacting off of what the conversation is actively about and giving like conversating on that, versus like, no, I know what I want to say, I'm just kind of sitting here waiting for you to finish so
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
say this.
Yeah, I have those moments where like I'm waiting, but then a lot of times I'm good at like holding on to that because in a lot of those cases, as you're whoever I'm talking to, as you're expressing the rest of what you're saying before I get to give my 2 cents, something in the rest of what you have to say will like peak something. It's almost like I sit in a flow state when I'm in conversations, like long-winded conversations that go past 15 minutes, so they're not shallow. Call back to a previous conversation we were saying 15-minute conversations. I'm good at finding myself being able to sit in that flow state, and I think that a lot of people aren't able to do that, probably for lots of different reasons. I think it's uncomfortable for people, but I like it a lot because like as someone who doesn't care much for interacting with people, being able to have one-on-ones with people and like let them kind of go into the weeds of their mind and then being open to hearing what I have to say or like opinions, because like I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. I like to sit very logically. I try to take everything at a logical standpoint and work down from there. Um, but then I don't know, just being able to be in that flow state. Like I said, it's almost like a divine intervention. Like you kind of mentioned that you had a brain dump, but you didn't say anything else aside from that. So like going into this conversation, I knew that you had a bunch that you wanted to say. Um, but then like as the conversation progressed, I was able to like develop what my responses were going to be in real time. And I think I'm really good at as soon as I can identify my audience, I'm able to play to my audience really well. Like I've said it before, where I think I'm good at articulating things to people. Like if I get like I've had many conversations with many people about like spiritual topics, So like identifying where they're at spiritually and like what kind of language they need to get to understand a point. I think I'm really good at doing that. Like finding the terminology. Like, oh, you're like a diehard Christian. Okay, so like instead of depicting God as like this like phantasm ghost gas cloud, I can explain it that God looks more
Yeah,
like
like you said, like a translator.
yeah, 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 yeah,
How the
yeah.
person you're talking to, yeah, identifying that.
Yeah, and I think I'm really good at doing it with like spiritual stuff because that's where most of my like experience kind of comes from because that's pretty much all the conversations I've had for the most part. But I think I'm able to do that with a lot of things, whether it's like creative stuff with like videography or like I've never had any kind of conversations about any other art or creative stuff. But then like when I talk about video games and stuff or like like for video games for example, I have most of my friends are video game players, but a lot of them kind of are in different realms. So like to kind of an example that you would understand, like Eric, Bird, and Jeffrey. Um, Me and I can talk to Eric in language that Bird might understand and Jeffrey definitely wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So like being able to identify that if like we're talking about Battlefield because that's what we're all playing right now, me and Eric can have a conversation where like I can really articulate and explain things really, really, really hyper specifically. But for Jeff, I might have to be a little bit more broad and like instead of being like, well, if you use these attachments on this weapon, it does blah blah blah. I'll like, just for lack of better terms, if you put this on, the recoil will go up and to the right. It's just gonna go to the right. So it's easier for people to understand
Yeah, it's
stuff.
based on your audience, play to your audience.
Yeah, I think that's a skill that I don't know where it comes from because I don't know if mom or dad ever had that. Dad was always a good talker and conversator, but yeah, that was a good brain dump. I like that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely feel a weight off my shoulders and feel like I can get the rest of my stuff done today with more of a clear mind. Very nice. I mean, yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
That's a good one. I'm gonna have a good 3-hour game session with the boys later and edit this and have it scheduled for 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Sounds good. I mean, yeah, that's about it. We can keep the outros shorter. You know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know the shits. Do that. Do all that stuff. Appreciate anybody watching this far. Tune in every Wednesday, 3 p.m.
Bye, guys.